What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another brand new Major Ben gaming video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day as always. Now, today we're going to be talking about PlayStation 5 Pro and my general kind of like review, not full review, but just me discussing my first 3 weeks, because this system has now officially been out for 3 weeks. And I have to say, I've played on it as much as I can. But I've been so focused on doing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and trying to get through that game that I really haven't had like that much time to actually just play lots of different games. Now, obviously, I've done lots of different testing on the channel, as you guys would have seen, but I haven't actually spent decent time with lots of different games. So I can talk about my opinions from based on definitely Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I can talk about the testing that we've done, and not just talk about the testing and what the performance is, but talk about some of the games I'm happy with, some things I'm disappointed with, what I would have enjoyed more from the system, and what I'm happy with the system. So let's just talk about first the actual system itself. Like, it's sat right here on its side behind me. Unfortunately, I cannot have it standing vertically because it just won't fit on this TV cabinet thing that I have, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really make a big difference for me. I don't care about that aesthetically pleasing vertical style. I want a console to play games, so that's what I'm going to do. So for me, I could have it sat behind the TV and it wouldn't really bother me that much. I like to see it, but it's just not the biggest deal in the world. So aesthetics-wise, I'm happy with this. It's got that three-pronged, like, little jagged edges, which, we all know, and it's fine. It doesn't distinguish itself completely different from PS5. It's very much the exact same design, and it doesn't go for anything that it's not. It's like just pushing itself into something crazy. It's literally just a PS5 with 3 additional edges, or a PS5 Slim, and we've got 3 additional edges, and then it's just slightly taller. So design-wise, this thing is nothing insane and crazy. Obviously, leave that to a next-gen system. This is very much still in the PlayStation 5 family. But let's get on to talking about what happens when you actually boot up the system. Now, we can switch over to my dashboard here. I've got my own little dashboard hub set up here with lots of different things on it. But in the end of the day, it's a PS5. There really is not anything different about this system that is crazy. Now, I understand. I'm not one of those people like, oh no, it's such a shame they didn't do a whole new UI. Well, this is still part of the PlayStation 5 family. This is not a next-gen system, so it's naturally going to be the exact same. I wasn't really disappointed. It's exactly what I expected it to be, booting up a console, and it feels exactly the same as the previous. But there is some additional things that actually do make this much, much better. And I have to say, going back to the UI here, in fact, let me enable my camera so you guys can see me a little bit. Everything feels really, really snappy compared to the base PS5. I had quite a lot of different menus, like lag and stuff. PlayStation Store, I don't know if that's the best one to test, but everything feels even more snappy than it did on the base PlayStation 5. There is some areas where it doesn't exactly react super quick, but it feels actually a little bit faster and a little bit snappy to change. Even like the images in the backgrounds like change much quicker when swapping, in my opinion. And apparently this is not just my opinion, but various different people have said this, that the overall UI actually feels that a little bit more snappy. And this is probably because they've got this 2 GB of additional RAM, which just basically runs the system UI. So you've got more RAM for games actually as well, but the system UI has its own 2 gigs of additional RAM that it now, or 2 gigs of RAM that it uses, so it won't take away from the gaming experience. So I don't know, in my opinion, it's definitely felt more snappy. And for general user experience, I've used my console to test it with Ethernet plugged in and with wireless, and the new Wi-Fi is definitely an improvement. I have gigabit internet, so it's not like using the full bandwidth of the new Wi-Fi modem they've got in this thing, but it feels a decent amount faster than it was before, like when I'm actually using internet compared to using Ethernet. So my Ethernet is still better and more stable, but my internet download speed from what I tested has increased, because I never got gigabit. Although my internet is gigabit, it would always be about 650. Now I'm getting closer to like that 700 to 800 mark when downloading games via the actual Wi-Fi on the system compared to what it was before. So that's actually been a little bit of a nice upgrade. So although the UI is the same, there are little quirks like that where things just feel that a little bit more snappy, and I'm happy with it. I'm really, really happy. Now, to go on to some games that we've obviously tested, you guys know we've tested a ton of stuff here on the channel. I'm currently playing Star Wars Outlaws, and I'm actually having a really good time. Now, I have to know, you guys have seen in the video where I tested this game, but I have been playing this game after the patch has actually been available. so that's been kind of interesting to do. But the patch that's now there that doesn't force you to constantly play stealth, and you can just go in a gunfight if you want to. It doesn't just kick you out and say, no, you've got to do this stealth and reload that save. That's been really, really nice. But performance-wise, I'm pretty happy with this game. It hasn't bothered me at all. I have spent most of my time playing this game. I've started this on the Pro, and I played 59 hours, and I've just finished the main story. Yes, I can go back and do lots of side quests. I'm not the sort of person who goes for big platinums on a game like this. It's not for me to spend another further, I don't know, I'd have to play the whole game again, I believe, and I would have to do a ton of side quests. So for me, I'm finished the story. I loved the game. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, an emotional roller coaster of a ride, but absolutely phenomenal game, and I love it to bits. But on Pro, this thing is night and day difference compared to the base model. This thing looks so much better on the Pro console, than the base console. It's not even close, and it's so visible, and one of the biggest examples of a next-gen game. You're going to see a few games here that I picked up on the recent Black Friday sale. Call of Duty, I played a ton of Black Ops 6. Most of the hours here are just from Black Ops 6 alone, obviously before on the base console, but now on the Pro as well. And I have to say, like, I can see that there's a Pro enhancement. It needs some work, though, because there's some of that haloing and, like, shimmering effects that what PSSR, if they're using PSSR or upscalers in general, seem to give off. So that's something that needs work, but it's definitely sharper, especially in the resolution mode, which is now actually uncapped above 60 frames. Obviously there's the 120 hertz mode as well, but the quality mode that's now like above 60 frames looks so much sharper and so much crisper, and it just looks really good. Obviously we've tested Crew Motorfest. This looks really good. I've never played I've never played it on the base console, so that's something I can't speak to, but this game looks really, really good. I picked this up in the Black Friday sale. I've barely played it, but from what I tested, it's really, really nice. Silent Hill, obviously we all know the drama, and this is what I want to kind of get into here, is that as much as that we've had some great experiences on Pro, there has been a few disappointments. We all know about Silent Hill 2 and Jedi Survivor. Now, these two games I have not played on Pro. I've played both of them on the base PlayStation, and they are using PSSR, and I'm pretty sure in the latest Silent Hill 2 patch, they've just completely removed PSSR from the game, because in the end of the day, it was looking worse with PSSR. And you might think, well, that kind of defeats the point of the Pro. Yes, it does. But they are actually using an outdated version and a pre-version of PSSR, not the latest version, which has been confirmed now. And they are looking into fixing this and getting it redone in the game. Jedi Survivor, they're working on patches for that. By the time you see this video, maybe that's actually out. As soon as we hear an update and we get some sort of update on these two games, I will be testing them on the channel. So stay tuned for that. But I do want to note, excuse me, that this console, like every other one, is absolutely not perfect. There is teething issues. This is the PlayStation's first version of PSSR, their own AI upscaler, and there is going to be teething problems. If you look at any of the early versions of FSR, the early versions of DLSS, both those upscalers had major issues because it is an AI machine learning upscaler. It improves over time. We are seeing the worst version of PSSR now. So, and in fact, we're not even seeing the worst version. The worst version is what they're using on games like Silent Hill and Jedi Survivor. We're actually seeing better versions in other games that are using PSSR, much like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is a game that is using newer versions. Sekiro, I picked up on the store recently just to say, and Need for Speed as well for like nothing. Baldur's Gate is another game that does look better. It's sharper on PlayStation 5 Pro. Haven't played it yet. What I want to test and get into myself, and maybe something that I start after I finish Star Wars Outlaws, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to like Baldur's Gate. It's very, very deep, like role-playing like action RPG, right? So but it's very like decision based and stuff, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I'm scared of making the wrong decision, so I don't know. But anyway, just to look through a few other games, Mirage is another one that definitely looks crisper and cleaner on Pro. There's been some really nice upgrades there. I don't want to go into every game because we're testing stuff on the channel, and at the end of the day, it's not worth me doing when I'm going through each individual game. But just to kind of talk about the amount of games you've got, this is patched, this is patched, this has recently been patched for all consoles. Outlaws. I don't think Valhalla's got a patch, but it may have a dynamic res. Baldur's Gate's patched. Atomic Heart actually now runs at 120 hertz, and I plan on doing a video on this very, very soon because it's a locked, stable 120 frames per second now, and it looks really good. Like Call of Duty's patched, right? Dead Rising 2, Demon's Souls, Dragon's Dogma. Elden Ring's not patched, but it runs a lot better. Like, there is so many games just in my own library of installed games right now that are patched for this system and that run really, really well. Stellar Blade is one of the best looking games on PlayStation 5 Pro. It is a super patch. It's got 80 frames per second. The quality mode is now, in the old version, is now what you get in performance mode with PSSR. It looks really good. PSSR mode is actually better, they've deemed, than the main quality mode on the PlayStation 5 Pro. So, and it also runs at a higher frame rate. You get up to 80 frames per second. So there's some really good stuff going on. And as much as there's a lot of hate around the system for the price, the recent 2 games that have PSSR problems, there is a lot of games that are working really well that bring really nice patches to this system. And that's kind of what I can say after 3 weeks of using the system mainly to play Rebirth and now Outlaws, but all the other games that I've done testing on this channel, most games are really nice upgrades. There are a few outliers that we've talked about, those 2 games that just haven't got very good implementations of PSSR, but all the other games we've talked about on this channel are really decent, and there's been some really good stuff coming out, as we've said. Sorry, I actually realized I wasn't showing my screen going through everything here, but there's been tons and tons of games that have had really good patches and some that are not so good. Like, that's just natural from a new console experience. But the other thing I do want to briefly touch on, I haven't really tried the PS4 games very much because obviously I've been playing Rebirth and then Outlaws, but what I have done is I have tested games like Uncharted, the trilogy of games 1, 2, and 3, just to see how the sharpening effect works on some of the old PS4 games, and I have to say there is some nice little upgrades there. It definitely looks sharper. Is it night and day difference? No, but it is there, and there is something that just gives it that little bit of like, you're playing a game that's old, but actually we're enhancing it and making that little bit sharper on your very good display that wasn't around at the time of the launch of this game. So it kind of gives you that feeling of like, you've got something out of your Pro, even if you are actually playing a PS4 game, and that's just nice to have. It didn't need to be done, but it's nice that it's there and shows Sony's kind of intuition on actually going forward. We're going to keep, like, you know, using this tech and potentially going to PlayStation 6. Some of the PS4 games could be even further enhanced via the upscaler at that point. So I'm very, overall, like, I have to say, I am very pleased with this system. I've played a ton of Rebirth. I've had a phenomenal time playing that. Every single thing I complained about of Rebirth on the base PlayStation 5 when I was playing it originally was graphics. It was horrible to look at. It looked like a watercolor painting. And now it's so sharp. Outlaws looks great. I'm having a good time. So I kind of don't really know what more to say. Yes, there's teething issues. It's not perfect. Should you go out and buy one of these? I would say it depends on your budget, right? Like, I hate to be the typical YouTuber because that's what everybody says, but in my opinion, if you've got the money for it and you've got the display for it, and you play a lot of games, and I don't just mean Call of Duty and FIFA, you play a lot of single player games that are being enhanced, go and buy this thing. If you could afford it and you've got a TV and you want more out of your current PS5, sell the PS5 and get a Pro, because that's what it gives. It gives you that quality mode pretty much at performance frame rate. So yeah, if you've not got the money for it, obviously do not go out and buy this thing. PS5 is absolutely fine. Anybody who's thinking about just buying a base PS5, that's still a very viable option that is very good. So it's not a decision like one way or another. It's just, if you've got the budget and you want a little bit better resolution and frame rate, and you've got the TV to display that, like a really decent TV with like VRR is really crucial because of these like frame rates that now hover between 60 and 120 or 80 in games like Stellar Blade. Like, you know, VRR is something that's really good to have. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Are you enjoying a Pro? Do you just not like the Pro? Are you going to pick one up at some point? Are you getting one for Christmas? Let me know in the comments down below. It's been that 3-week mark. I think maybe we'll do another updated video at maybe like 5 weeks or like 2 months, just to see a bit further when I've played a lot more titles and actually been enjoying the system, like playing a lot more games on it. So especially over the Christmas holidays, I'm going to play a lot of different games. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in future videos. Bye bye for now.